You're listening to Bedtime Dreamy Tales. Share and subscribe our channel. Story title: The Witch in the Stone Boat. Once upon a time, in a kingdom far away, there lived a wise and benevolent king named Harold and his queen, Eleanor. They had a strong, active and handsome son named Sigurd. King Harold, growing old and feeling the weight of his years, wished to see his son married before he passed away. "Sigurd," said King Harold one day, "it is time for you to find a suitable match. There is a neighbouring kingdom ruled by a good king, Eric, who has a daughter renowned for her beauty and wisdom. Her name is Princess Ingrid. I believe she would be a perfect match for you." Sigurd, who respected his father's wisdom, agreed. He prepared for his journey and set off with a retinue to seek the hand of Princess Ingrid. After a long journey, Sigurd arrived at King Eric's court. He was welcomed warmly, and upon meeting Princess Ingrid, he was struck by her grace and beauty. He asked for her hand in marriage, and King Eric, pleased with Sigurd's noble character, agreed, but with a condition. "My kingdom is vast, and my strength is waning," said King Eric. "I need someone to help me govern until I pass. Will you stay and assist me until that time comes?" Sigurd agreed, but requested that he be allowed to return home if he received news of his father's death. The agreement was made, and soon after, Sigurd and Princess Ingrid were married. They loved each other deeply and were blessed with a son whom they named Olaf. 2 years later, Sigurd received news that his father, King Harold, had passed away. He prepared to return to his homeland with his wife and young son. They boarded a ship and set sail, but after several days at sea, a sudden calm halted their progress just one day from their destination. One evening, while Sigurd was asleep below deck, Ingrid stayed on deck with Olaf. As she played with her son, she noticed a small black dot on the horizon, which gradually grew larger. It was a boat made of stone, and rowing it was a fearsome, ugly witch. Ingrid was paralyzed with fear. The witch climbed aboard, took Olaf from Ingrid's arms, and placed him on the deck. She then stripped Ingrid of her fine clothes, putting them on herself. The witch, now looking like Ingrid, cast a spell on the real queen. "This spell I lay upon you," intoned the witch, "that you slacken not your course until you come to my brother in the Underworld." The stone boat sped away with Ingrid, leaving her terrified and helpless. The witch, now disguised as Ingrid, tried to soothe the crying Olaf, but he would not be comforted. She descended below deck to Sigurd, scolding him for his carelessness in leaving them alone on deck. Sigurd, bewildered by his wife's sudden harshness, tried to help calm their son. The wind picked up again, and the ship soon reached Sigurd's homeland. The people mourned the loss of King Harold, but rejoiced at Sigurd's return, crowning him their new king. However, Sigurd noticed a change in his wife. She was haughty, stubborn, and difficult, unlike the gentle Ingrid he had married. Their son, Olaf, continued to cry incessantly until Sigurd assigned a nurse to care for him. In the palace, there were 2 young courtiers, Lars and Eric, who were fond of playing chess. Their room was adjacent to the queen's, and one day they overheard her speaking strangely. Pressing their ears to a crack in the wall, they heard her say, "When I yawn a little, I am a nice little maiden. When I yawn halfway, I am half a troll. And when I yawn fully, I am a troll altogether." They watched in horror as she yawned tremendously and transformed into an ugly troll. A 3-headed giant emerged from the floor, bringing her a trough full of meat. She devoured it greedily before the giant disappeared, and she returned to her human form. The courtiers, frightened and astonished, decided to tell no one, fearing the queen's power. Meanwhile, the nurse caring for Olaf noticed something peculiar. Each evening, after lighting a candle, several planks in the floor would spring up, and a beautiful woman dressed in white with an iron belt and chain would emerge. She would take Olaf, hold him tenderly, then return the child and disappear. On the 3rd evening, the woman said, "2 are gone, and one only is left," before vanishing again. Terrified, the nurse reported this to King Sigurd, who resolved to witness the event himself. The next evening, Sigurd hid in the nurse's room with his sword drawn. As expected, the plank sprang up and the woman emerged. Sigurd recognized her immediately as his true wife, Ingrid. With a swift stroke, he severed the chain, causing a tremendous noise and shaking the palace. The noise and tremors subsided, and Sigurd embraced Ingrid, who told him her harrowing tale. The witch had sent her to the Underworld, where a three-headed giant had imprisoned her, demanding she marry him. Ingrid had refused, and the giant agreed to let her visit her son for 3 days, chaining her to ensure her return. Sigurd now understood the reason for the queen's strange behavior. The witch who had taken Ingrid's place was a malevolent imposter. Enraged, he ordered her immediate capture. The witch, realizing her ruse was uncovered, tried to flee, but was caught and brought before the court. King Sigurd decreed a harsh punishment. The witch was stoned to death and then torn apart by wild horses. The courtiers, Lars and Erik, also revealed what they had witnessed, adding to the evidence of the witch's deception. With the imposter gone, the real Queen Ingrid was restored to her rightful place. The people of the kingdom celebrated her return, and she was beloved by all. The nurse who had cared for Olaf was married to a nobleman and received splendid gifts from the king and queen. King Sigurd and Queen Ingrid ruled wisely and justly, their love for each other growing stronger through their trials. Their son, Olaf, grew into a fine young prince, bringing joy and prosperity to their kingdom. And so, they all lived happily ever after, their kingdom thriving under their benevolent rule. If you like this story, please give this video a like. For more stories, go to bedtimedreamytales.com. See you in the next story.